So many people are so eager to hear about what's happening with my other YouTube channel, why it got shut down, what we're going to do now. I want to do something on that, but you know what? We'll save that for the end of this video because there's too much stuff going on right now. I mean, right now. So last night, while you were sleeping, in Philadelphia, a large group of black people rampaged through a carnival and beat the hell out of a couple of Hispanic kids.
Two teens are recovering from what appears to be a random attack near a community carnival, and there are fears this morning that it could happen again. Action News reporter Catherine Scott is live outside East Detectives with more on the police response and reaction from the victims. Catherine, good morning.
Good morning, Jeanette. This happened on Tuesday night. These two teens had just left a nearby carnival. Now police are concerned that it could happen again this weekend.
And this girl just came and hit me. And my boyfriend was like, oh, why you hit her?
16-year-old Jayla Santana and Miguel Fernandez had just left this carnival on East Erie and Whitaker Tuesday night in Hunting Park. Her stepmother was coming to pick them up.
And that's when the girl, her friend, comes behind me and hits me from behind. And the whole time I'm on the phone with my stepmom, so my stepmom heard the whole thing.
I tried to defend her as much as I could. I kept trying to push the girl back, and then a second one hit her, a third one hit her.
At least 7 attacked her. A video of it went viral. Miguel says he's seen the attackers before, who identify on social media as a girl gang. And according to posts on Facebook, the group is planning another attack this weekend.
The 25th District is aware of this type of incident. They will have extra patrols in this area of this carnival tonight and then throughout the weekend, the holiday weekend.
Both of the victims spent the night in the hospital. They were released on Wednesday morning. Jayla suffered a concussion among other injuries.
Everybody act surprised, but they really weren't. Because black on Hispanic violence, black on white violence is rampaging out of control in Philadelphia. Everybody knows it. I don't know why these two kids thought they were immune from it. How many videos have we done on black violence at carnivals? Dozens and dozens and dozens. There are dozens and dozens of carnivals all over the country that had to shut down because of the regular and predictable black mob violence that was visited upon them. But this next story started out kind of small, but even though I was going to do something on it, I mean, it was like, it's in Brooklyn. A bunch of black people beat the hell out of this young lady in Brooklyn in a Brooklyn park. I think it's called Brooklyn Bridge Park or something like that. Okay, I thought, you know, there's some video on it. I thought I'll do something like that. But then it kind of grew. Then we learned that it happened to somebody else.
This video of the blows that a 15-year-old took brought the girl's mother to tears.
I'm so angry, I'm so hurt, you know, and there were cops in the park, but the kids outnumbered the cops in the park.
Tuesday was just as bright and beautiful as today. The park packed with kids out enjoying their spring break. Janae Simpson says that her daughter's excursion to the Brooklyn Bridge Park was ruined by a bunch of girls.
From the video, I counted at least 8 girls on top of my daughter, while other people stood around and videotaped instead of helping.
She said they also did nothing when a Good Samaritan jumped in. That person got hit with a cane. The nasty fight left the 15-year-old girl with a fractured nose. We confirm the NYPD is reviewing this and other videos of the attack. A community activist is now calling on investigators to make arrests.
They came into this park and didn't respect the authority that was here. And that's why they felt comfortable to do what they did. But they have to know that there are consequences behind these kind of actions.
The teen's mother begged anyone else with information or video to come forward.
I want you guys to know that there's going to be justice behind this. You're not going to get away with this. This is one parent that's not going to stand by and allow you to do this to another kid.
Then we learned it was way bigger than anybody thought. The DNA info up in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn area, said there were 800 black people in that park. They didn't say black people. 800 cops in Brooklyn. Lots and lots of Brooklyn cops are on this channel, by the way. Anyway, the black people, the cops in Brooklyn tell me 800. Well, DNA said 800 people. There were 800 black people in that park, creating violence, mayhem, havoc, attacking people all over the place. Just another day in Brooklyn, I suppose. But then you go to the Brooklyn Eagle, which is kind of a neighborhood paper up there, and they'll say, oh yeah, this has been happening here regularly for a long time. And both the DNA info and the Brooklyn paper, they kind of took you through the examples of black mob violence, large-scale black criminality centered in and around this park. Turns out the park is the property of a big real estate company that built some really nice homes nearby for all the people that are gentrifying Brooklyn. So they put some basketball courts in there. And according to the very proper Brooklynites, well, the basketball courts may be attracting some aggressive people. Lots and lots of people in Brooklyn, lots of people in the comments section who live there are saying, we got to get rid of that basketball courts because they are a magnet for black people who want to do nothing but become predators to the other people trying to use that park. You know, we've documented on this channel and in my book, especially in Don't Make the Black Kids Angry, we documented the amount of black on white hostility in these neighborhoods where white people are trying to reclaim some of these old homes. People call it gentrifying. Brooklyn is like #1 ground zero for that. A lot of people love Brooklyn. They love living there. But part of learning to love Brooklyn is learning to ignore the intense criminality that exists in Brooklyn that is directed at the gentrifiers. I mean, we get into this and Don't Make the Black Kids Angry, how Spike Lee was at the YMCA, right? He was giving a little, I don't know, people go to the YMCA to give talks. It's kind of a thing up there. So some black guy stood up and goes, hey, Spike, what do you think about, gentrifying in Brooklyn? Spike went off for about a minute or two about how he didn't like white people moving into his neighborhood, into his father's neighborhood, because everybody complains when black people make too much noise. What the hell are those white people doing there? He hates it, he hates it, he hates it. And so the people who love the Brownstoners, they're the ones who basically are totally into the cause, because the cause is, listen, we can live here. We're down with the cause. We don't have any problem with black people, so black people shouldn't have any problem with us. Well, you know the lesson, right? Just because you're down with the cause, that does not mean the cause is down with you. And if there's one person in Brooklyn who's down with the cause of having white people move into black neighborhoods, it's Kate Cochran. Kate Cochran's been a writer for a lot of big publications, New York Times Magazine, Wall Street Journal, San Francisco Magazine. Now she's either runs it or she's associated with a magazine called Brownstoner. If you check out Brownstoner, if you live in Brooklyn and you live in one of these $1, $2, $3 million brownstones, you want to check this website out, because that kind of tells you what's for sale, what's for rent, helps you find people to work on your house, stuff like that. The one thing it doesn't tell you to do is what happens if once you're in the brownstone, you become a target of black criminality. Nothing at all to say on that. Well, maybe Kate will have a little more to say on it now, because yesterday she was in a subway. Black dude came up to her, beat the hell out of her, slashed her face with a knife. She thought she was going to die. That's how they roll in Brooklyn. Moving over to San Francisco yesterday, where the San Francisco Examiner and the Chronicle, they're just absolutely dedicated to not talking about this black violence in San Francisco. Some white lady was on a bus in San Francisco, got off the bus, a bunch of black people saw her and beat the hell out of her. People in the comment section were, some were going, hey, what's up with all these black people beating up white kids and beating up white people in San Francisco? Hey, if you believe the headlines, nobody can afford to live in San Francisco anymore. So where are these kids coming from? Nobody knows. course, there's all, but for every one person that said that, there's probably 5 people that said, oh, no, this is not a black thing or a white thing, because white people do it too. And they go, matter of fact, I remember when a bunch of white kids beat up an Asian person a couple of years ago. That's our wheelhouse, right? Black on Asian crime in San Francisco. We documented this, the study they did in San Francisco. They looked at like 400 street assaults over a time period in San Francisco. They found out 85% of the assaults in San Francisco were black on Asian. So don't sell me the white kids are doing it too story. Don't try to sell me that, because we're on to your denial, deceit, and delusion. We're just not buying it anymore, okay? So many people are just saying, listen, we want to know what's going on. We want to know why you're not telling the truth. We want to know, what's behind all this criminality, and why are so many people in denial, deceit, and delusion about it? But in the meantime, we're going to keep exposing it over and over and over. We'll expose the denial and the deceit over and over and over. 3 cases, black mob violence, last 48 hours.
New information this midday about street fights that broke out downtown around closing time early this morning.
Yeah, we're gonna probably need 4 platoons, some east side cars to help us. We got a couple 100 people fighting.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us this midday. Police say they had to use pepper spray and a taser when groups of people began fighting near East Avenue and Alexander around 2 o'clock this morning. 13 Wham's Kelsey Smith is live outside Rochester City Court now with new information she's learned about this case. Kelsey?
Norma, 7 people were in Rochester City Court this morning arrested for disorderly conduct and other charges in connection to the large fight from early this morning. 3 of the 7 left with community service. The other 4 will return for a later court date. Now, according to court papers, there were as many as 300 people out in the street by East and Alexander. Some are accused of fighting. Others are accused of not leaving when asked to by a police officer. One man says he was out celebrating a friend's birthday when he was wrongfully arrested.
As we were leaving the club on the East Avenue across from Karen's Pizza, there was just a lot of commotion, about several fights, a lot of fights going on, and the police was making incorrect arrests. They just was arresting people for no reason.
Police say no one was seriously hurt. According to court papers, 40 officers responded to those fights.
I think we're forgetting one in Atlanta. Come to tell you the truth. Yeah, there was a case. I haven't even looked at it. I haven't had time to look at it yet. On the Atlanta, 4 people shot, 1 dead, 3 wounded. Some of the fellas were just blowing off a little steam, and it got out of control. So to me, the stuff we just covered, that is what is important to me. And I know to most people that watch this channel. Whether you watch it here on LiveLeak or on Facebook, or I'm going to start moving, pretty soon we're going to find a new home, maybe at colinflaherty.com or minds.com or vid.me. By the way, if anybody has any thoughts about which one's better, minds.com or vid.me, would you please let me know? So let's talk about now that we've got the important stuff out of the way, I'll say this part is kind of for the hardcores. Here's the one bad thing about talking about the inner workings of this channel. There's no way to avoid it, but it kind of gives a roadmap to the trolls on how to attack us. And I mean, that's what this channel is. This channel is under constant attack. I don't like talking about the internal drama of this page because this page is not about drama with YouTube or drama with the trolls. Whenever we talk about the trolls, it's strictly to educate people that these attitudes are real. Yeah, people really believe that white people do it too, white people deserve it, and it's not really happening. Okay, so let's talk about YouTube. A couple weeks ago, I put up a post, and I think it had the word 911 in it. Maybe even said critical. Put up a post that said, hey, YouTube said they're going to shut the main channel down because they're receiving a lot of copyright strikes. I got like 5 copyright strikes in an hour. That's weird. Talk more about, but okay, so here's the drill on copyright strikes. So, I'm all down with copyrights 100%. Listen, matter of fact, here's what a copyright really is. For example, like I wrote an article one time in San Diego for the San Diego Reader magazine. It was about the best healthcare plan in San Diego, and it was free. You could get free heart transplants, free this, free that, free blood pressure, free liver transplants, free dental, everything. If you had something wrong with you, you can get it fixed. All you had to do was go to jail and stay in jail. And I talked to people inside the sheriff's department and inside the jail who said there are a lot of inmates, they don't want to leave till they get all their, their medical problems taken care of. They're trying to kick them out. They're going, no, I want to stay. So I did that story, and a big national magazine picked it up, but they picked it up almost word for word. And this was what you call almost all of my stories are enterprise stories, right? It's like I was never really part of a PAC. I never really did the PAC journalism thing. So this was an enterprise story. Big magazine picked it up, ran it word for word, somebody else's byline. He took my stuff, pretended it was his. Okay. So I just wrote a letter to the editor going, hey, you know what? Here's my story. I mean, not hard to see they're the same story, right? The guy didn't even take the time to, to transform one story to another. It would have taken 10 minutes. He just got mine, slapped it on there, and hoped nobody would notice. I noticed since I read that magazine. So they ran a retraction saying, hey, Colin, sorry about that. I didn't make a big deal about it. So really, copyright's really meant to prevent people like me from taking stuff you do and saying, hey, I wrote that. But there are exceptions to the copyright law. The big exception is called fair use. Fair use is an exception to copyright law where you can use other people's work if it serves some kind of public service. Maybe it's part of media criticism. Maybe it's part of you're showing how the story is damaging to the public. Once something goes on TV, everything enters into a whole new level of accessibility because they're using the public airwaves, right? And so, so I was doing, there's one station in particular, KHOU down in Houston. They went through all my videos. Some lawyer down there, I think her name is Janet. I've got her name. Anyway, she sent me a copyright strike, and I sent her back. You send it to YouTube. YouTube sends it to you. Say you've got 7 days to clear this up. So I sent her a little note saying, listen, I believe I'm using your material well within the parameters of the fair use. But to tell you the truth, I don't want to really, I'm not really into long, legal, complicated arguments. I'd rather just do my page and avoid KHOU. So if you take the strike down, I promise I will be a good boy in the future. That didn't matter. The strike stayed up, and all of a sudden my page went down. A note about this person. I'll put her picture and name up on the screen. I can't remember the name, but here's so I just looked and I said, I wonder who this person is. So she's the corporate counsel handling intellectual property for the people that own KHOU. They're headquartered up in the Detroit area. She lives in Grosse Pointe Park. I never heard of Grosse Pointe Park. But when you go to her Facebook page, she's all over Grosse Pointe Park. But I thought I'd never heard of it. But it turns out I had heard of it because we did a story once about Grosse Pointe Park where everybody in Detroit was all unhappy with Grosse Pointe Park because they literally put a barrier up on a street. Normally, you can go pretty seamlessly, right? From one town to another. Well, Grosse Pointe is it was 2% black. Now it's 10% black. And they literally put a barrier up so a car could not go from Detroit to Grosse Pointe Park. And so if you look at this picture of her, if you look at her Facebook page, everybody's white. Everybody she hangs around with is white. And that's significant because there's a lot you could do with a copyright if you have a copyright question. You know what a lot of people do? and this is what YouTube encourages them to do. They'll say, listen, if you have a copyright question or claim, just send it to us. We'll take the money the video monetizes. We'll give you the money. Like sometimes I'll buy music from a place called Audio Jungle. And it costs like $15, $20 for, you know, hear the catchy song. Sometimes the stuff comes for free from YouTube. Other times it comes from Audio Jungle. Well, probably 10 times in the last year, a song that I bought that I have rights to use, the claim holder will send a strike to YouTube going, hey, Colin Flaherty doesn't have any right to use that. YouTube says, fine, we'll give you the money. Most of the time I'll just say, okay, great, you can have it. I don't feel like dealing with it. So, but KHOU had that was one of their options. They decided, no, we're going to try to shut this guy down because basically, I mean, local TV news doesn't want Colin Flaherty out there saying what a crappy, lousy job they do of covering black violence in their town. They'd rather I just go away and didn't do the media criticism thing. You know, a lot of people forget that for all the black violence we expose here, we also expose the reporters and public officials, especially the reporters. They're, you know, the more time you spend around this, the more you kind of figure out that the reporters that are the real nut jobs, I mean, they're the ones looking at this and going, no, I don't see any pattern, Colin. No, I don't see it. Don't see a darn thing. I think you're imagining this, Colin. And these are the same reporters, of course, who cover black churches, black funerals, Black Lives Matter. I mean, they'll take 3 incidents over 5 years and say, that's a pattern. But then get 3 incidents in 3 minutes, and they look at it and go, no, I don't see how they're connected. Did the guy leave a note by any chance? Did he leave a note saying he didn't like white people? Did he carry a sign saying down with honkies? Unless you have that, the reporters will say, no, there's no proof that anything has this violence has anything to do with race. Well, what about the actual violence itself? What about the pattern? What about the undeniable patterns in places like Houston? No, doesn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything to this attorney. So to me, it's kind of ironic that she's the one looking at us going, Colin, we're going to shut you down because we do not approve of, you know, the way you're treating that material. No, we're not a bunch of racists. But if you look at her Facebook page, all she does is hang around with white people. That's it. She's like, so she's one of these, you know, that's Grosse Pointe Park. I think a lot of liberals there, you know, they're like looking at Detroit they're kind of admiring the whole Detroit thing from afar. They put barriers up to prevent Detroit people from getting into Grosse Pointe Park. Everybody in Grosse Pointe Park is hyper aware of the danger of living in Detroit. And whenever there's a crime, the first thing they do is they just kind of run to Detroit. They kind of like try to head them off at the pass. So that's the story with you know, what's going on with the YouTube channel. The copyright strikes built up. We've got lawyers saying, hey, Colin, I'll help you out. I think what we're going to have to do is I'm going to stay on this YouTube channel for a spell. But I really want to start migrating over to a separate, dedicated channel where, you know, we don't have to worry about YouTube and the folks at YouTube going crazy. I mean, I'm not the only one this is happening to, right? And you know, Alex Jones is all over it. Paul Watson, Tommy Sotomayor, lots and lots of people are having lots of trouble with YouTube. You know, there was a story in the paper about a couple weeks ago when they talked about how YouTube and said YouTube was, you know, the advertisers were revolting. It's funny how these advertisers all of a sudden, they're all like, you know, organizing. They're all organizing against YouTube. They're organizing against Bill O'Reilly. Like 60 of them won't advertise there anymore. But the one little thing I saw in there I thought was really weird. It said, yeah, we have, YouTube has like 10,000, I think they call them monitors or volunteers, people that kind of patrol, you know, YouTube videos for them. Well, I'll tell you this right now. I don't think these 10,000 people live in the United States. I think most of them, for 2 reasons. One, if you had to pay somebody here, it's going to be $15, $20, $25 an hour. All of a sudden, if you have 10,000 of them, that's like $1 billion in a hurry per year. I don't think YouTube wants to, you know, write a check for $1 billion just to make Colin Flaherty and Alex Jones and Paul Watson and other people go away. But if they are paying people, I think they're paying people in like third world countries. $3 an hour, $5, $8 to keep an eye on them. You know, a lot of Facebook censors live in Ireland. I don't know what they pay them there. But isn't it weird how, you know, the stuff we say to each other, there's somebody like a foreign country making $5 an hour, putting thumbs up or thumbs down, and that really, you know, that's the only judge of what, you know, what you and I can talk about here. I think that's kind of strange. So anyway, there's lots of weird things about this YouTube. We can bitch about it if you want. That's not what we're doing here, though. So I kind of have to ask you to remember that. We are all about exposing black mob violence and how reporters and public officials ignore, deny, condone, excuse, and encourage it. That's what we do here over and over and over and over. And it's okay, we can do the YouTube drama thing, but why don't we just keep focusing on what we got to do here? Because I'm going to keep making videos. I mean, I really don't care if I have to get a sandwich board and walk up and down good old 26th Street in Wilmington, Delaware. I will do that. Because somehow this is just too important. There's too much at stake. You guys write me so many letters. I'm working on that book of first person accounts. By the way, so if you have a first person story, your own experience with black violence growing up or today or somewhere in between, got so many letters, so many, you know, really intense letters. I think it's going to be an interesting book. Send it to me, will you? Colin at colinflaherty.com. What we'll do is we'll strip your name out. If you want me to, I can strip out the identifying features. If you want me to, we can do that too. Because, you know, we're just not going to stop with the books, with the articles. I have an article today in American Thinker, AmericanThinker.com. Big article about comparing Biloxi and Augusta. So I had a lot of fun with that. Black spring break versus the Masters golf tournament. That was, you know, that was kind of interesting. But here's what I found out after writing that article. It did make a few black kids angry.